Hey, how's it going? It's
Hey,
me.
it's you. All right. Well, it's me as well. I am des Esseintes. This is George Shooter Nolan, and here we are. Your favorite characters. We're just a couple of humble buttermouths begging for your loyal attention. Is that so wrong? Is it?
I I I don't think it's wrong at all.
No. Yes. You're no. Yes. You're completely right. Um, so, uh, well, those are the seamless introductions again. So, hello, and how are you?
I'm doing well. I just want to make a quick shout out. This is only one of the episode to the city of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. How you guys doing?
Hey,
So,
Harrisburg, how you guys? Nice to see you in our in the hellscape of the imagination. You're the one oasis in my disgusting mind. Is that the only shot? Let's have a couple more shout outs before we really crack on. I am disheartened to hear that that's the only one.
all right, Savannah, Georgia. That's a fine city, fine people.
They're the best, lovely people.
I'm
What?
pretty sure there's a lot of good art coming out of SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design.
No,
So
no
you got you
doubt.
art students out there, keep working hard.
Keep working hard, you guys. Just push a little bit through. It's worth it in the grand scheme of things. Believe in yourselves at least as much as we believe in you. What are you drinking? You haven't any little drinky poo for this?
Oh, absolutely. I've been drinking like a fish. Some bottled water. I'm not gonna say the brand, but it's bottled.
Oh,
It's
nice,
water. So,
nice. I have tap water in a spaghetti sauce jar that I've cleaned out specifically for the purpose of putting tap water in it. I don't know if you will recall, but in the um, in the pilot episode, I had quite a lot to drink, and well, not quite a lot. I had amounts to drink of alcohol, and I'm on a bit of a break. The other day, as you may or may not know, I went on a little bit of a bender, and it's put me off of uh, you know I don't it's not as fun for a minute.
I see. Like, were you hungover?
Well, yes, eventually, but it was a really quick go of it. So it all starts with a wasted bottle of the good stuff. It's gone very quickly, and
Oh,
then
what's the good stuff?
wow, it was a lovely Guinness. I had a lovely bottle of
Uh,
Guinness. It's not
you gotta have draft, man.
no, it's better draft, especially when the keep knows what they're doing. A good Guinness can take 5 6 minutes to pour, but bottle was what I had, and bottle gone, and then I got in quite a lot of oh whiskey and liqueur and even a seltzer that I found very quickly. So it didn't get to me until I was actually face down on the floor. So I'm taking a little break. Um, just the tap water looks very good in this
Yeah. Well,
bottle.
you gotta let your liver clear out like every so often.
Yeah, that's what the doctors say. Let the liver clear out, and actually consuming that much is kind of like exercising. It's like weightlifting for your liver. So the next
Yeah.
time you hit it, it's a lot better at it.
Yeah, more prepared, more
More
acclimated,
exactly.
and you
Yeah.
got the rest and recovery. So,
Oh yeah. No, I'm training for the big one.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I hope not. That's a
What's the big one?
oh well, just regular life and the tools that one needs to tolerate it. Just sweet juiciness dribbling down your chin, the manna from heaven. Yeah. So, how did we do you think, on the not the first one, because this is the first one. This is the zeroth. Or no, last one was the zeroth episode. It was the pilot episode to get us all amped up and excited and connected with the fan base.
I think it was okay for like a preliminary test run.
Right.
But yeah, like but yeah, you were talking about what was it? Drink, like, yeah, going on a binge, right?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I had a couple PBRs the other day,
uh,
and oh man, it's a quite. I think you'd like it because it's a sort of elixir that is not refreshing. It's rejuvenating, much better than Arrogant Bastard Ale. Have you ever had that?
I have been wanting to try it. We were talking about podcasts last time, the first time, the zeroth time, the time that didn't really happen but did. And I believe I have heard a fair amount about the Arrogant Bastard Ale on the Drunk Friend podcast. I believe that's a favorite of this Nest Drunk fellow.
Oh, really?
I think so. It might be the Nest Friend, but I think that they were bouncing around, and I have never tried it myself.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good.
What's
Way too bitter. And plus, I don't like their attitude. The label, when you read it, it's like, they obviously think they're better than you. Like, I'm on their website right now, and when I hear some of their copy,
yeah,
this is an aggressive beer. You probably won't like it. It is quite doubtful that you will have the taste or sophistication to be able to appreciate an ale of this quality and depth. We would suggest that you stick to safer and more familiar territory. Maybe something with a multi-million-dollar ad campaign aimed at convincing you that it's made at an independent brewery, or one that implies that the tasteless seltzer slash fizzy yellow beer slash whatever the hell will give you more sex appeal. Perhaps you think multi-million-dollar ad campaigns make all that junk taste better. Perhaps you're mouthing your words as you read this. And there's like another paragraph, but I think you get the idea, right?
yeah. It actually sounds cut out from a diatribe that I might give about popular pasteurized pilsners that I can't really easily enjoy. I'm probably going to put more effort into tracking down the Arrogant Bastard because of that.
Really? Well, yeah, it's like, it seems like, they probably plagiarized like from something, like notes from your diary or something, like when I first read this.
Well, I should never have let you read my diary. Imagine you're the leak for that. No, I have had. Are these ales? I'm not very
Yeah,
versed
it's
in the.
an ale.
Well, I mean specifically sours, because you can go and get beers that are as sour as those Airhead candies. They are intentionally sour, or bitter. But I've got nothing against uh, some local or smaller brewery picking some aspect and accentuating it, or going off in some new or interesting
Yeah,
direction. I'm kind of
but
a
like
fan.
they're acting like, this is like something that, like, I should like prefer to like regular beer, like, whereas this while it actually tastes more like a challenge, something you drink like on a dare, kind of like a ghost pepper hot sauce. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
no, I get that,
A
and
test of endurance.
I am from the little bit that I can recall from what I've heard of the drink and what I am gathering from the blurb that you read, is that it's more tongue-in-cheek. I've been out to one of those restaurants that have the challenge where they put some stuff on the food that is supposed to be hot past normal endurance, and there's
Yeah.
the pepper. What would you say, the hell pepper?
Ghost pepper.
Yeah. It has some kind of powder like that on it. I've been there. I've participated in one of those challenges, and that's not a culinary thing. That's just sort of pain endurance. I'm not getting that impressed.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it seems like a casual enjoyment thing with a shtick, and that's fine with me.
Well, I mean, like these people, the arrogant bastard, they presumably want this to be regular beer. It'll be like going to one of those restaurants and they're like, no, you got to eat this like ghost pepper hot wings like every day. This should be your diet.
But it's just
Like
spontaneous.
if you don't eat this like every day, there's something wrong with you. Like you're like a peasant.
Well, I mean, it's just a marketing campaign. I mean, they don't actually use uh, swamp water that frogs swim in to make popular American beer. It's just fun, jokey stuff that oh golly, isn't that neat? And then you want to try it. It's probably riffing a little bit
Yeah.
off of the obnoxious hipster trope. Where they kind of demean you for not being in the know, for what not knowing what they know. It sounds like a joke.
Yeah, I mean, I get that as well, but I thought it'd be more fun to be more outraged and take it seriously.
Well, yeah, I mean it's clear you're just riffing, but I'm taking it serious and being a pedantic ass because that's
Well, I mean, you're the target market.
yeah, I am. Oh geez, that really speaks to me, and it kind of it kind of does. uh, uh, well, so I do think that the episode 0 went along all right. I think about the first half, even though we riffed stupidly on late night television past the point of really knowing what we were talking about, it did seem to have a good flow. And I imagine over time we will continue said flow. So, it wasn't too bad. How do you like that theme? Isn't that a beautiful, catchy toe tapping theme?
Oh yeah, I mean, it makes me want to do the Macarena.
It that's exactly right. It's I'm sure very much inspired by the Macarena. So have you seen just by way of things any good movies or shows lately?
Oh, that's well, I was actually just watching the first part of an Australian television documentary about the basketball player Luke Longley. Do you remember him from the Chicago Bulls
No,
in the 90s?
no, I don't. I don't. I just remember at this point what Michael Jordan and some of the other star players, his name will come up and say, "Oh yeah, that's familiar."
Like Pippen,
Yeah,
Rodman.
yeah. Pippen Rodman. I know Dennis Rodman wanted to marry the world, and he had a nice dress on, so that's a lot of fun. And then Michael Jordan knows Bugs Bunny, and so does LeBron James now. Uh, so it's
Yes, did you watch the new Space Jam?
I did not. I did not. I've seen a couple reviews of it. Or I listened to them while I was cleaning or something, and the impression that I've got off of that is that it's trash that knows it's trash, and it's got a whole lot of fun nods to various other properties that people want to see scrambled together, but that it is overall pretty bad. And if if that is what you want, something that's fun, that's bad, that knows it's bad, and has a couple, a few good lines in it or throwbacks to other characters, or look, there's that other thing that I know, then, it'll be a fun time. Have you seen it?
No, I have not. I've seen like pictures of like LeBron James, and he's like animated, and he has like these huge eyes.
Yeah.
It's very uncanny. It's like one of those memes, like where like where they like have a picture of someone and they make their eyes like half the face. That's what it looked like. It's a pretty strange, artistic decision.
Well, they do. So I can't picture how they made him look in that thing, but that's pretty common with cartoons. All the cartoon characters look like babies, anime characters, and all that. It's meant to draw the human eye and create an unconscious endearing to them. On memes, have you viewed any of the deep fake things where they're like last night I got caught into a thing when I couldn't sleep, and I'm watching these videos where Hitler and Stalin are singing pop songs at each other.
Oh yeah.
Hey, have you seen any of that stuff?
Yes, I've seen like scenes. I've seen like on YouTube like videos where, for example, be like, what if Bill Burr was every character in a scene of like My Cousin Vinny or something?
Right, right.
Or what if like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone switched roles or something?
Yeah, yeah. There are some of those that like there must be some app thing that kind of puts a mask over faces, but there are some you'll find that are clearly like the creators spend a lot more time on them. There's this one where Nicolas Cage's face is on a little girl singing Santa Baby, and it looks so real that this little girl has Nicolas Cage's face. It's just wild. Have you seen that one?
No, I've not.
Well, do yourself a favor and watch that one at least twice, because
I've
that's,
actually entered it into my parental blocking software, so I cannot watch it now.
well, I'll get a phone or a cheap tablet or something and have it preloaded on it and send it off to you, because it's just one of those things that really get you someplace deep inside, deep in a warm, wet, sharp area.
I actually don't respond to like Nicolas Cage as deeply as most people do.
Well, I
Yeah, I
mean,
think he's a good actor. He has some good roles. He's had some stinkers, but
I think
he's
he's fun
not
in the
like a.
snippet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he can be fun, but I'm just not as big a fan as most people are.
Well, it's not
Like
so much that it's Nicolas Cage, more that it's his face perfectly put onto a little girl who's singing Santa Baby. It's uh, like if you didn't know who Nicolas Cage was, and if you didn't know anything about the deepfake stuff, then you would think that it'd just be a very strange looking little girl. It was that.
Nicolas Cage has a strange looking face. His head's very aerodynamic.
I I don't know. I was thinking about this earlier today. Have you ever like stared at a face until it lost all meaning? Like you just the different parts are set up to do different things, but in all the ways that a face or anything could develop, like it's just that it's like saying a word over and over and over again until it just sounds like nonsense, staring at a face until it becomes alien, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure I've done it. Like, I've actually probably done that, like by looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you're describing my teenage years.
you're what?
My teenage years.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a big part of my life back in that day. I'm watching through, as you know, my first viewing of The Sopranos.
Oh, yes.
I I'm not going to say anything specific about the show, but I am beginning the final season this evening.
Oh, you're on season 6?
Yeah, yeah,
You're
season.
you're you're blowing through this thing. Like how many episodes do you watch a day?
Usually one, sometimes two. I don't binge. That kind of ruins the like the fun of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll draw the eye of your mind back to my riveting binging story, where you take a whole bunch of fun things and ingest them at the same time or in quick succession, and it kind of loses some of the meaning. If you binge a show, it's a waste of time. It's not fun. It's not any kind of relaxing or reward. It's strenuous, and the episodes lose meaning. They don't blend together as well, and the retention isn't there. So the most I will watch is a couple episodes.
Yeah, like I wonder like how you must like watch television very intently to get like like to describe like watching a couple episodes in a row as strenuous.
Oh no, not a couple episodes. If I were to genuinely binge and sit down and watch 4 episodes, like clear enough time to sit and watch The Sopranos for 4 hours, that would diminish the episodes that I've watched.
Yeah, well
Which,
they'll all blend into each other.
yeah, yeah. And my retention is not always as solid anyway, and it's an enthralling show. So it would just sort of be a blend, and it would be more like work than relaxing or winding down. So uh,
Uh,
it,
well, that's pretty much the model of of television nowadays when they make it like on Netflix. They're all meant to be binged one right after the other
yeah, I
because
think that's unfortunate.
people are chasing that dopamine hit. They get it leaves on a cliffhanger. They want
Yeah.
to satisfy their urge for I guess for pleasure by like mainlining another episode straight then and there.
Yeah, no, I get it. My thing with those is I do like I don't use any streaming services. I do like though the notion of them all coming out at the same time, so that way it's not wait a couple months or something. Like as good as a show is, there are a lot of fish in the sea, and
Yeah.
you can move on to something else in about any category in life and find something that is just as fulfilling. It's just uh, so so I haven't watched television, like regular television, since Boston Legal went off of the air, and I think that was in 2008 or nine or something like that. Uh,
Oh yeah.
and I don't use streaming services. I collect a lot of physical media, um, and like I watched through the first season of Stranger Things, actually the first couple of seasons,
Yeah.
and
You
you
saw the
know,
one where they like where the Russians were the bad guys.
were the Russians the bad guys? No, they weren't the bad guys.
No, like in one season, like they like stumble upon like the Russian government, and they're trying to harness the power of the other side.
Let's not do too many spoilers in case someone hasn't seen it. But
Oh well, I don't believe in spoilers.
I well,
I mean,
you're
it's been out for a while,
well.
so
I'm
it's not like I'm spoiling it for anybody.
no.
If
I
they
still
really
pick
wanted to
up.
see it, they would have seen it by now. It's been a
No,
few years.
I never had the ending of The Sopranos spoiled for me. I'm still picking up like Super Nintendo games and having no idea where it's going. So
Nice.
so spoilers, no spoilers.
It's not really a spoiler. It's not like a revelation at the end.
No.
It's more revealed at the beginning
Yeah. I don't think you
of the
ruined
season.
anything.
But yeah, but you haven't seen the one where the Russians are the bad guys
No, well,
this season.
well, I watched the first two seasons, and the first season throughout was enthralling. It had a good feel, and I really liked
Oh
the
yeah.
soundtrack. In fact, I've got the CD soundtrack. Just as I said it, I'm holding it up.
Yeah.
And the second season had a good soundtrack, and it was just okay, but it had some things that fully sucked in it.
He's
Um,
not the show itself.
the show itself was mostly good, but not as, and it had some things in there that I genuinely disliked.
You know what I disliked
Uh,
was Eleven's powers, because like you don't really know what the rules behind her powers are. It's like, does like are her powers like do her powers like kind of like make her unhealthy, like do they damage her permanently? Does it make her tired for a while? You know, it just seems like whenever the plot demands it, all does, she can like, blow up a house, but just get like a nosebleed, and 2 days later, like explodes a monster's head, with no ill effects, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Well, there were a few things in there that didn't seem to have enough. Like in the second season, without saying much about it, there were child characters that were just put there, and we're all like, one thing I really dislike about film is when they introduce a child character without expanding on it, and we're supposed to be attached to this character because we're automatically attached to children. I'm not for that at all. So they bring in some obnoxious ragtag kids there that have no relevancy, and we're all just supposed to be attached to it. The first season I thought was done well all the way through. The whole thing, that 80s movies aesthetic that they were trying to get, worked for
Oh
me.
yeah. Yeah, they nailed it.
They nailed it. All the characters are good. The
Yeah.
angles and the special effects and the music. It was an enthralling experience. But the second season had a whole lot of things that just stuck out every now and then and took me out of it. And I get that this worked. We need a thing that people like. We like established properties because that's got a guaranteed audience. It's going to bring them in, and it's really just an excuse to produce lesser material because they've already got the audience in their seats, and that ruins it for me. I would prefer. I was kind of saying this. I would prefer something that you can control. That's why I like it when they put it all out at once or when they have it on DVD. And I don't like surprise um, sequel shows or things that carry it on.
Like, how
Uh,
about prequels or spin-offs?
yeah, it kind of depends what it is because I like to be able to pick something up, view it at my leisure, and then put it away.
Yeah.
But there are exceptions, and one thing that I think we'll talk a bit more about is so I introduced you to a show called Farscape a while back, and
Yes. You know what? I'm actually planning to buy the DVD set like today, or
yeah,
within the week, maybe
I,
after payday or something.
I think you should. I think you should. I don't want to
Yeah.
say too much about it because I think this is something that in fact one of my little bullet points, as you can see, is related. Uh, but it is an example of something that not only should have gone on longer than it did, but I would be overjoyed if they were to revive that property, not a reboot,
Oh,
you know, and
yeah.
if it were to be good.
I don't know. Like, have Star Wars? I mean, no, Star Trek.
Yeah.
Are you talking
Well,
about revival like that?
No, 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 no. So in fact, both of those are good examples. One, the future sole media company of the planet buys up Star Wars, and now there's all this Star Wars, but the original trilogy had such magic to it. It didn't need to be a thing where they're constantly churning out new explanations and characters and situations. That stuff was unnecessary. I was fine with expanded universe stuff. If you wanted to write a book about it and you got the rights to do that, and a few of the Star Wars video games are quite a lot of fun. Some of the best stuff in the franchise, but it did not need to go beyond 3 movies, and they've done that with Star Wars, Star Trek, Indiana Jones. They just like people have loved these things forever, and they just need to keep churning it out. But Star Trek, as I see it, and I'm I'm not terribly familiar. I'm more of a casual enjoyer of Star Trek. Lost a lot of its magic after. Let's see. How familiar are you with the different series?
Oh, not at all. Like I've seen like some Next Generation,
Okay.
the one with Picard. That's about it.
Okay. Yeah. The original series is good. The movies are all a hoot. I know people fight over some of them being very bad, but I think it's in good fun, and OG Star Trek was always kind of light, and then uh, the Next Generation is good. Deep Space Nine, Voyager are good. Um,
Have an Enterprise.
no, that I think that's what I was reaching for. I remember seeing a bit of that and not really liking it. And then I think they've done a couple series since then. And then they did like a new cinematic movie thing where it's supposed to be like a different dimension. Um, do it I, I don't like spoilers, but I can probably say a little bit about the newer
I
Star
love
Trek movies,
spoilers.
right? Well, no,
Yeah,
it's just they take a
I'm not.
character.
I'm never gonna watch those. I'm never gonna watch those Star Trek movies, so you can spoil away at it.
Well, I mean, I don't like to do that, but
I mean,
they
like the new ones. I'll probably watch the older ones,
yeah,
but the new ones, like you can spoil away. Like,
yeah, up
I don't
until
know.
they made Star Trek Enterprise, and maybe including Star Trek Enterprise, I don't know. That's something I need more education on, but I got the impression that that wasn't great. Uh, but in in uh, in the new movies, they have a dimensional tie-in. So I think they begin the movies like this, where like the original Star Trek dimension of all the series that we've watched, it like switches over and a character comes over to the new one. So it is kind of a continuation, but they're not really. I don't like them, and I'll watch any kind of crap often, but I I don't care for the Star Trek reboot, which isn't really a reboot, sort of. I mean, it is, but it's like
Yeah,
they're just switching dimensions and then retelling the stories of the same characters, but making them more action packed with a lot more CGI craziness.
yeah. Like I hear they're like with the Star Trek movies are trying to make it more like Star Wars, where it's more of like a thing about that like space fighting and stuff. Whereas Star Trek was the original series is more about the exploration
Well, there
and
was
problem solving.
that there was action relative to the day. We kind of veered a corner into Michael Bay territory where it's all visual noise.
Yeah,
But at the time, there was there was a lot of practical effects, like in the original Star Trek, a lot of practical effects, a lot of fighting scenes, and then they'd have spaceship battles, with the models and the lasers. And
What's their organization called? Like the Star Trek people,
like the Federation.
the Federation.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like from what I understand, like the Federation was like more of a scientific body, kind of like NASA, where they'd go they'll try to explore and try to explore and expand human knowledge. And like when they fought, it was not because it was when they fought, it wasn't really war. It was more self-defense from like hostile aliens to encounter, right? But from
yeah.
what I can gather from like the Star Trek, the new movies, it seems like they're like a military, like a full-fledged military force. Doesn't seem like to have that same spirit.
Well, it doesn't have the same spirit, and that's partly right. I'm not. Yeah, I imagine people that are really into Star Trek would hate me describing anything for it because I'm not very familiar to the extent that I can make expansive commentary. But the Federation is it's like a UN of different alien species. So
Yeah.
yeah, so and they are scientists venturing out, but I think they are military, and they're
Well, I
military
mean,
ranked, but
yeah,
they're not like some exploratory force looking for enemies to fight, which is your point.
yeah.
And they are primarily explorers with that could be different with the different seasons, but I don't think so. So the original Star Trek uh, were explorers, and Picard in the Next Generation, he was both an explorer and a diplomat. I think
Yeah.
I think Kirk would be more explorer and Picard would be more diplomat, but they're both. And it's Deep Space Nine was like the management of a space station that was uh, sort of like a waypoint research center. I think.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I remember like seeing like the station. It's just like a circle thing.
Yeah,
It doesn't move, right? It's like a kind of like a kind of it's like rings, right?
yeah, it's out like it's exactly right. It's out. I forget if it was even. I think it was out by Pluto, but see, this is one thing. I watched that when I was a kid, and I want to go through the good Star Trek again soon, which I may do after Sopranos, or at least after a time. Um, but I believe so. They weren't exploring, and they did have diplomatic roles, but I think it was a research station initially, and I'm gonna have to check on that. And then I don't remember what Voyager's purpose was at all. Uh, they got flung way out into space in a section of the galaxy that they called the Delta Quadrant, and they were trying to get back to their starting point, which they call the Alpha Quadrant, trying to get back home, and they were not. Uh, I I don't remember what the mission purpose was. I remember that their crew is the combination of the people that were working on the Voyager spaceship and a group of freedom fighters slash terrorist types, and they were both sent into distant space, and then they came together and unified the crew. Uh, but I remember that was a good one. Um, I shouldn't say much on it anymore because I don't recall much about it. But I would recommend at least if you rewatch the movies are all fun. They're going to be stupid to varying degrees. Some of them not at all, but it's fun. It's usually, from what I remember, light. And I still go back and rewatch the original movies fairly often, and they're a lot of fun. But original Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine. Not in that order. It'd be Deep Space Nine, then Voyager. I remember enough that I can vouch for their quality, but I'm not really somebody who hoards and is able to access a lot of information about Star Trek. But
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you lived in the Star Trek universe. How much time would you spend in the holodeck?
I think they did episodes of that where people would become too attached to it, and they did episodes where well, let's see, there was a character that was a hologram in Voyager, and they have had in the Next Generation, Salieri from well, not Salieri, Jesus.
Oh, F. Murray Abraham,
No. Who?
the
Salieri.
actor, right? He played Salieri in Amadeus.
Yeah. I sent off on a wrong
Yeah, F.
tangent.
Murray Abraham.
I watched something today that involved the movie Amadeus, and so I picked the wrong name.
Yeah.
Do you recall the name of Sherlock Holmes'
Edward
nemesis?
James Olmos.
No, the nemesis.
Moriarty.
Oh, Moriarty.
Yeah.
That was it. They did an episode, and I think a couple, where a holodeck personification of Moriarty came to life. He gained sentience. But
And he went over to like their dimension.
well, he realized that he was a thing. Like if you go into the holodeck and you pull up a bunch of these characters, they're not real people. They're just lights. They even
Programs.
do what? Yeah,
Would
they're
they be like
holograms.
computer programs?
Yeah. They're just computer programs. But this guy realized that he was, and he gained sentience. He became alive. But that's another. In fact, I think we're kind of working on digression the show. But you ask, like, how long would I spend in a holodeck? And
what percentage of your day would you spend in the holodeck?
I mean, potentially quite a lot of it. If it were so they've got by the Next Generation, they've got these I think they call them replicators, where they can produce any food that they want, and depending on the episode, it's either quality food or not quality food. If you can construct these are holograms you can feel, so like if it would be less expensive to have whatever other chemicals you pump into the food replicator, and the energy of producing these holograms, like, you could provide about everything that people need to live. Like they could have cities filled with living spaces that were entirely holographic,
So you can actually just move into like a hologram, like
yeah
go into a holodeck and
I mean,
like
it doesn't seem to be a power drain on the ship, so you could just, like, I don't know, buy a house that was like a giant box and then program your whole home into it.
Okay, so like it actually produces physical objects then.
It produces physical objects while it is on. Yeah.
Okay, so but you have to keep it on all the time.
Well, yeah, but like it doesn't seem to be a huge drain on the spaceships, and the world in which Star Trek, at least the Next Generation, occurs, is one that is not dependent on wealth. There's no disease or poverty on Earth.
Yes.
So
Well, the holodeck, like I thought it was like the Matrix, where it's kind of like you're in your and you're there in some sort of chair, and then
no,
you're kind of you're in your mind.
no, it's not
But
in
you're
your mind.
actually walking around, and
Yeah,
it generates all the objects like
yeah.
your clothes and all that stuff.
It generates. I mean, you could, but it's like it's like they just make the stuff appear in this gymnasium on the spaceship.
Yeah.
Their minds are not plugged into it. They're creating physical objects out of light.
And then and you can like go for you can like walk for infinite amount of miles, right? Because it's
Yeah, you could make it
generating.
into a treadmill if you wanted, as long as everybody went along with you, you know. Like
Mm.
if you stand by one wall, I stand by the other wall, we wouldn't be able to walk in opposite directions because we both hit the wall, but we could both walk the same direction forever, or at least as long as the machine continued to work.
But so like so you're walking north, I'm walking south.
Yeah.
We can only go as far as the gymnasium walls, right?
Well,
Did that
no,
ever happen in the show?
I don't know, and I think that
Because
that
I
that
mean, like the way you're talking about it, I'm thinking maybe it generates the floor beneath them.
yeah.
So
Well, it
like
generates everything. Now, and I'm technically wrong. It's like if you stand at one wall, I stand at the other, and we walk in opposite directions, the treadmill could carry us that way, and the thing could produce um, the appearance that we're moving away, but we would not be losing any distance between each other because it would just be like two treadmills going opposite directions.
yeah, yeah, that's kind of limited then, because like like what if you had to like, want to go 1 mile from one person, another mile to another person? I was kind of thinking that maybe it could be like a hammer space sort of thing, like like, or like a Doctor Who telephone booth sort of thing, where it's like it looks like a small space from the outside, but it generates an infinite space on the inside, you know?
No, that doesn't do it. It just sort of makes physical objects manifest. That's what it does. It's not it's not meant to be magical. It's meant to. I think they use the term because there's a character in Voyager who is a hologram himself, and he's got a portable projector that he wears that projects him into existence. And he is a physical object. And I believe I've heard it described as hard light, that's what they call the technology of this
Yeah.
temporary creation. But it's like a light. You switch it on and you switch it off. It's just uh, making the shapes of these things appear.
Yeah. I
And the
have a
texture.
question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no,
Continue.
the question's yours. What was the question?
So let's say the replicator is broken and you can't have food, right? You run out of food. Could
I
you
bet
go
you
into the
would.
holodeck and generate like a kitchen and eat food there? And once you finish the food, you go out and you're still satisfied?
No, no. See, here's the thing. I've thought about this. Here's the thing. It's not any damn thing. But if they could replicate texture, I mean, maybe they could replicate flavor. I think they're able to replicate smells in the holodeck. So I think what would happen, let's say you type in and you make the holodeck into a restaurant, and there's sometimes eating or drinking inside the holodeck. I think if you
Yeah.
consume the food and it's able to somehow maintain this shape that is it's being projected in the box, then if it is able to project it down to the molecular level, then what would happen is you would consume a food that your digestive system would break down and it would send bits all over your body. And then you would walk out of the holodeck. And as soon as you step outside of the door, those bits that you just consumed immediately disappear because they're just being projected within the large room of the holodeck. So
Mhm.
if you were to live in the holodeck for a number of years, maybe you could sustain yourself by eating all the necessary things that were just invented with the holodeck. But over time, parts of your body would be replaced with things that are just projections. And
Yeah.
eventually, you would get to the point, I think, where you walk out of the holodeck and you just collapse as your body is not substantial enough to hold together because so much of it is just fake holographic stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
So like your body gets the nutrients from fake food,
yeah,
and your body rebuilds like using that fake nutrients with fake cells. So
yeah. I mean, it's not
yeah.
real stuff that can exit the hologram. If you had one of those things that the doctor from Voyager had that was like a projector, then I think over time you could turn yourself into a hologram and then walk out with one of those things on you and stay that way. But if you lived in the hologram and if it was able to produce nutritious food for you, it would be like a long suicide.
I see.
That's it's
So
a pretty crazy thought. Like just imagine that the Enterprise in the next generation is desolate and the only thing working is the holodeck, and they all have to go and live on the holodeck. And then by the time they are rescued, because it was the holodeck keeping them alive, they are unable to leave a holodeck for the rest of their lives because they've just become holograms themselves because they've been eating nothing but
that
holograms.
that would be a great episode.
It would it would be. I think that's an interesting
Like
idea.
yeah, like there's like a or there's like they go on a rescue mission and they find like some sort of ship that's in that situation you described where only they're all forced to live in the holodeck,
Yeah.
and they have to find a way to like figure out a way to get them out of there.
I
You know.
I think it's an interesting premise. I wouldn't want them to do it with like I've heard that when I heard that they were doing kind of a reboot of or not a reboot, but a sequel on the Picard thing. It's just called Picard, right?
Yeah.
I thought that could be kind of cool. I like these characters. I'd like to see where they're going. But then everything I've heard about it is that it's just like Picard is unhappy, the Federation is corrupt, and society is breaking down, and they're trying to do something that is like mirroring a lot of the real world instead of staying true to the world there, which had a whole lot of allegorical ties. But the Federation is supposed to be a good, prosperous thing, and I don't like the idea that Picard is in a bad spot or that he's become an embittered old man. That
Yeah.
doesn't really jive with me.
Well, the thing about Picard is like a lot of it is like people cursing at him,
Is it?
and like he's not like a commanding presence anymore. He's just like an old man. Everyone's like telling him to shut up. Not the Picard of like that,
Yeah, yeah. He was always the the most grown up person in any room he was in. If if they have fundamentally altered how he operates, then I don't know if I want to watch that or even consider it part of the thing. Like I don't know how many of the new Star Trek movies they've made, but I don't really need to see them. But I would like to go back and see the original four or so series that are supposed to be pretty good and the movies attached to them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So back to like what I was asking. So
Yeah,
you'd spend like most of your, I think like if you lived in a society that had the ability to make a holodeck, you'd actually spend much less time in the holodeck than you would if you just like plopped the holodeck right now into your existence.
I
Because the
think yeah.
society that could make yeah, go ahead.
No, no, um, I, I mean, I agree. We come up with all sorts of new, neat things, but people are born to them. Uh, it, if the human lifespan was 200 years, uh, I'm sure there'd be higher appreciation for a lot of the things that people develop. But a society that is capable of inventing a holodeck got to there gradually over a long period of time, so it wouldn't seem miraculous.
But I'm just saying, yeah, like a society that got to that point was like the Federation Society. Like you say, there's no scarcity in that society, right? So
Yeah,
like, that means like life is pretty good as it is,
but it wouldn't seem good to
right?
them because we're
Like,
like natural antagonists to ourselves. So they probably don't appreciate it.
well, I guess, but I'm just with the baseline of existence is like much better, I would say, right? It's like
Oh yeah,
much it's like the job, like there's no crime, there's not much as much to you want to escape from, like there's no corruption, there's no I mean, greed doesn't really has no real effect on people because you can just like replicate your food,
right,
right?
right.
Like the way society's set up, there's no like, people aren't uh poor, or like they're not probably not like socially alienated, because there's no one's like working like 14 hours a day to make ends meet, and
Yeah.
like so like life would seem probably much easier and better than it is now, the way it is, right?
Oh, but
So
yeah,
you'd probably spend less time imagining better realities or different realities. Like you'd probably just do that as like a diversion, or maybe like as a challenge to yourself. Like you'd probably use your holodeck to simulate like dangerous situations and see what life was like before, before everything was pretty much taken care of in your life,
well,
whereas
they do that.
if
Yeah,
you had like a holodeck, yeah, right, whereas if you had like a holodeck now, you'd probably imagine like situations where, like what if I had like billions of dollars and stuff, I can do whatever I wanted, right?
yeah.
And you probably spend all your whole life in the holodeck, 90% of your life in the holodeck, because you probably wouldn't want to get out of the holodeck if you had one, and it was like and it was like now,
Yeah.
because like, do I stay in the holodeck, have all like, have everything I ever could ever dream of, or do I step back out of the holodeck and like go, work at the salt mine or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and like, worry about paying bills and all that stuff.
Well, so, so Picard is a fellow who came from a small French village, and he goes back there sometimes, and his family makes wine, and the human race is devoted to scientific development and exploration.
Yeah,
And it's sort of like life is good, and what they do essentially is they use it, as you say, for training or for novel experiences. It's kind of the difference between, in this day and age, uh, like reading a good book or watching a good movie or show or something like that, because it's something you want to do, as opposed to escaping, as opposed to being the only part of your day or week that is worth doing, because everything seems to be such a drain on mental faculties. You're desperate for something to escape. It's the difference between waiting 6 minutes for a really well poured Guinness and drinking it very slowly, breathing in it at the same time, and shotgunning a tall boy of it very quickly, and then going back for shots and other drinks until you fall face down on the ground. It's it's the difference between needing to escape your life and trying to enrich it. And what we see mostly in the holodeck, uh, even though they do try and tell little after school special stories with it, sometimes it is mostly just novelty or enrichment or training or experience. It is not as much a desperate need to escape existence, because the animal is not getting its needs met, and it has to do anything it can to tolerate being alive. So you're absolutely right. They use it for enriching effects.
I mean, like there are people out there now, a significant, I think a significant proportion of the population, they're spend like 8 hours a day like watching TV or they're playing video games. You know, we're already
Yeah.
in that, like, you know, if we had like a holodeck, it's over. You know, no
Oh
one want
yeah.
to get out.
No, no. If there was access to the holodeck, that's what we do. That's why a lot of the time, like, we're obsessed with video games or television, like you said, drug addiction. Why you have to, not just have a thing to appreciate it, but you need to gorge on it constantly because you're chasing something of feeling instead of the the normal pain or desensitization. So we get fat, or we drink to excess. We make ourselves sick over obsessive consumption of things that are really just, trying to, we're trying not to look at ourselves in the world that we live in. uh, the world is essentially devoid of any knowable inherent meaning, or at least that seems to be how it is from my perspective. And I think perspectives normally, unless they've individually been touched by any kind of mystical thing that I am not aware of, or would find a hard, find it difficult to believe in. It seems like an empty, pointless world of of effort, and everything bright and shiny is dubious. But uh, well, on that note, that's a that's a we're about running out of time.
Yeah, but I would also like to add that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the Federation,
Oh, and
it's
make it,
I haven't.
end your point in an optimistic way, though, or whatever it is, because I
Well,
ended in an optimistic way.
it's gonna be some like real nihilist stuff, but
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
saying like life in the Federation, it seems like it would be much more optimistic than life now. Like the only way it seems like you can interpret life is like everything's futile, nothing means anything, right? Like why even bother? That's why you're always trying to escape, like with your drugs and your alcohol
Yeah.
and your video games. Whereas like in the Federation, like seems like people have like humans, like even though they don't have a religion that I can see of, or like a state religion at least, they all know like what humans, like what we're gonna do as a federation. Well, as a what we're gonna do as a federation is explore the limits of human knowledge and what else is out there in the universe, right? So like they have like a purpose that's a noble, an ennobling goal, an ennobling purpose. They're all like wearing uniforms, so they're all in this together.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
all like they're all like they're all like working together towards a common purpose, right?
yeah.
So if you lived in the Federation, you wouldn't have like you wouldn't feel that there's like no point to life. You wouldn't be a nihilist,
No, no.
so you'd be a much more optimistic person.
Yeah, no. Part of that thing, and I think nihilism might be a step on this road, is recognizing that no one's essentially holding your hand and telling you what to do, or at least nobody in any grand objective sense that we can perceive. There's always somebody who will tell you what to do. Don't worry about it. But not in any meaning of life type way. If you recognize that there's no meaning of life, then the job is to create it. And what Star Trek is it's a fantasy. Like it had the first um, uh, biracial kiss on television. It was always, these are the best things of what we are. We being the people who created the show, and we wish to envision a human race that embodies the best of humanity, that has enforced its will upon reality in a good way. to accentuate its better qualities, and how it goes forth, how this group of them goes forth and deals with other alien challenge, is dangerous and big, or backwards, or representative of some of the failings that we hope to overcome. It's meant to be an empowering fantasy to show how good human life could be if
The interesting thing about that fantasy is that it's not about like one person saving the world because they're predestined, so they're the only one who can like save everyone, or like do these big accomplishments. From my understanding about the spirit of the show is that everyone, like there might be like some guy who's in charge, but they're all important, they're all a team, right? So Captain Picard, he probably wouldn't be able to defeat Borgs. It was just him coming in like Rambo, like shooting them up, right? And
yeah.
he like, and like everyone has their function of specialization. They're all, it's not about like one person being the hero.
No, he's the best guy for the job. Don't get that wrong, but it is absolutely. Spock's line is in a way, because I believe the Vulcans were the ones that set up the Federation, and that's the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and that doesn't mean that the individual is lost in it. I think
well, individual is but a part of the collective.
Oh, absolutely. Picard goes home to spend time with his brother, who, he's not too, the brother's not too fond that he went off and became a spaceman, but Picard will go home to his ancestral home and make wine. This is not and he's a cultured guy that I don't know. He's always reading some book of antiquity. Individualism and culture are not lost, but the main focus of the Federation is to improve the quality of life. They seek out suffering wherever it is and try to alleviate it. They are interested in how the species is doing. So you're absolutely right. It's not a sameness to everybody. It's not a you will all end up in a very good place. It's not a you need to all be the same and wipe out individuality. It's just everybody gets a chance, suffering's rooted out, and the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yep. But, I mean, it's about like it's about being part of a unit.
No, it is. The show is primarily about accentuating positive aspects of the human race and imagining a society of people where that the best of people has been exemplified, and there are all sorts of tie-ins to issues of the day. That's like one of the main things that Star Trek has always done. The show is in a lot of ways a goofy after school special type thing. They're always telling little moral stories. And there will be corruption here or a bad time there. So it's not like a perfect thing where everybody's right on, but the society at large is one that has benefited from, I assume, hundreds of years of effort to accentuate the better qualities of humanity. But we are over time now by about 10 minutes. I'm going to stop this so it doesn't beep on us. We've got a bit we can kick over next time. But so how do you think we did this time? I had fun, and I think we had some good riffs going.
All right. Let me just so you can edit this in. Let me say my sign off.
We're not quite signing off yet. I'm asking you, how do you think we did?
Oh, I think that went pretty well. But we're going to edit this part out, right?
No. This is in. We're doing sort of a brief preamble to the sign off. So we're gonna talk about how we did. We're gonna say any questions or such.
Oh, okay. Kind of like inside baseball.
Inside
This is like
bait.
for the this is for the fans who really want to know how the sausage is made.
This is it. Yeah, yeah. We're just sort of doing a long goodbye, and then we're gonna get to the
I
the
see.
the punctuation. But
All right.
so how do you think this went? Pretty well. This is the number one. This is episode one.
I think it's going well so far. Yep. Like let's continue on this Star Trek tangent on the next time. There's a lot of rich material to mine,
Well,
and
it might be worth our time to, because I'm obviously behind on the show. The thing I'm most familiar with are the original movies, but we could each start watching them and then talk about them more competently. We were going to talk about Farscape and some other things, but um, I'd be fine if we kind of discovered Star Trek in this. And then, have you got any way for anybody to contact you?
no, I'm off the grid. I'm living in the underground.
Okay, well, my understanding is that at some point in the near future, you're going to have a email address, as will I. I'm unable to find it, so we'll leave that out. But here is where we would say if you have any questions or comments that we might be interested in addressing, and then on some of the
Well, I'm
platforms that
pretty
we're gonna.
sure if they wanted to, they can like reach out to us like over whatever platform they're using, like if it's like Spotify or SoundCloud.
Do they
You know,
have a comment section or anything like that?
I'm pretty sure one of those platforms does. So
Okay, well,
I
we
mean,
will.
if they really want to find us like through that, they can probably do that.
Okay, well,
You know,
here's the point where we would be saying, if you're inclined to contact us, here's how. I don't know why you'd want to.
well,
No.
if you really wanted to contact us, wait till we actually get ways to be means to be contacted.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
but
like stay tuned to the next episode. We might reveal some more information then.
yeah, but
So just
think good thoughts.
keep listening, people.
Yeah, and think good thoughts. I'm sure we'll receive them. Do you have any shout outs you want to do as you sign off?
Yeah, just one more shout out. Uh, Rancho Cucamonga, California, and Salem, Oregon. I'm pretty sure those people are fine people, despite the fact that they're out on the West Coast. So
Oh,
you guys keep on keeping on.
yeah. Hope you're well.
And
It's a little dirty out there. We understand right now. We hope that gets cleared up. We wish you all well.
yep, stay strong. And this is George Shooter Nolan. And have a good night
Yeah,
or day.
it's, me as well. Good night and thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.